After the travesty of Dynasty Warriors 9, Koei, Tecmo, and Omega Force needed to step back and really understand why Dynasty Warriors fans enjoy the franchise as much as they do. By cutting out a lot of the roster, focusing on major early parts of the Three Kingdoms saga, and even giving the series a complete overhaul. But now we can rejoice because it's finally time for the amazing comeback for Dynasty Warriors franchise. So yes, this is the review that you have been waiting for. From adrenaline pumping gameplay, sweeping visuals, to a story that battles to captivate, and audio that just really sets the tone, man. That soundtrack is just chef's kiss. We're diving deep into everything this game has to offer, and of course as spoiler free as possible. But here is the big question. Is it worth your money? Because hot damn, this game is launching at a hot $70. And by the end, you will know whether this entry deserves a place in your Dynasty Warriors collection or if it's one to skip. What's up, Chaotic fam? It's your host, KSDTV here. And if you're new here, then this is your chill spot for all things RPGs, news, reviews, and guides. Today, we're diving into the world of Dynasty Warriors Origins. Koei Tecmo did send me a review copy to cover for my community, and I have free reign to talk about this game. No, they did not pay me. No, did they not influence me. This is completely my views 100%. So before y'all start going yapping in the comment section, no, this is not nothing paid and nothing of that nature. I am actually really excited to cover this game. So with that being said, let's hop right into the review. Now, the core gameplay loop sets you up once the prologue is over. You are free to explore the world and see what the game has to offer, like progressing the story, but also establishing a base inside of the ends. One thing to know, you will spend most of your prep time at the ends because they serve as your overall hub, allowing you to read letters that are given to you from random NPCs in battle, or even important characters rewarding you for how good you are in those said battles. Now, the letter system really adds quite a personal touch, with characters sending letters to express their gratitude for your actions. The end is also a nice way to prep your equipment and see what weapons you like to bring in and what skills you like to utilize during battle. Now, early on, you will already have gotten acquainted with Liu Bei, Zhang Fei, and Guan Yu through their battles against the Turbans. But to truly win over Zhang Fei, he wants a nice sparring match between you and him, but this will provide you a basic understanding of how combat mechanics of battles with officer enemies. Now, as you learn that combat that revolves around dealing damage, accumulating bravery points for special attacks, and even evading unblockable attacks. Now, you may have noticed, like I said, bravery points. Yes, so this is a added resource that is only obtained through dealing damage to allow your main protagonist to perform the given skills for the weapon of choice that you picked out. By continuing to level up the proficiency of that weapon, you'll unlock more advanced skills that are even more badass than the previous ones. So they really decided to really hone in and add as much as they can to a nameless protagonist. And I had a feeling that they would go this route overall when it comes to this, because you know, any Dynasty Warriors games, you can play as hundreds of different characters with many different personalities. So going a route where we're starting from scratch and we're adding an extra element like a nameless protagonist, they gotta do something, and so far they did a pretty damn good job. Now, what makes Dynasty Warriors fun as a franchise is the large scale battles. Anytime you look at it, any Dynasty Warriors anything, it's always these massive battlefields and enemies getting thrown around. You're out here decimating thousands and thousands of enemies. But before the chaos begins, every battle is preceded by a war council. Now, this is where your general in command at the time, which in my current playthrough so far has been Sun Jian, Liu Bei, Cao Cao, and Dong Zhao, and they will outline the entire battle plan to give you a better idea of strategy. Now, during my playtime, a lot of the generals early on will basically give you free reign to survey the battlefield, but to assess to see if you need to really help on the specific areas to really diverge the path to how you want to help them actually conquer these battles. Now, when you are on the field, the best way to give your army a better positioning and advantage on the battlefield, you will need to take care of the enemy captains, in which they do have shields that must be broken before they can be staggered and killed. Now, depending on the morale of your army or the enemy's army will just overall dictate just how powerful these enemy's officers are and how much shield they carry on them. Now, this brings to a major mechanic in your battles is the overall morale system. And you must know morale plays a crucial, and when I say crucial, plays a crucial role in your success. High morale boosts offensive and as well as defensive capabilities, and also allows for powerful group attacks amongst your army. You can also gain high morale just by doing a lot of things throughout the battles. Your army can be able to just kill officers, but you can also take over enemy bases to overall increase your morale as well. Now, another good thing about another major mechanic is of course, you heard me say it earlier, the weapon proficiency system. Now, weapon proficiency increases with usage of that given weapon, unlocking stronger combos and battle arts. As you continue to play through battles, picking a weapon to come with, you will notice your character becoming way more proficient in battle with that said weapon. So far, I have used all weapons that I unlocked so far to get them to proficiency level 4, which is pretty good in my opinion, as I try to be good with all weapons just in case I get bored with one. I'm not cutting myself short by just using a underleveled weapon. And lastly, another major mechanic that is introduced into this game is the overall peace mechanic. Now, this is based on your actions in the world, and this basically encourages you to maintain order and stability across the provinces. Now, I will explain why the peace feature is important later in the video, because it overall plays a heavy role into the story and why our character even exists to begin with. But speaking about our character, we really need to talk about our character's growth, right? The way that our character mingles with the rest of the cast, the character relationships, the customization. To help build this new Dynasty Warriors up from the ground up, one thing to really add that personal touch to your actions with our new protagonist is, of course, dialogue options. Now, during conversations with the given characters, like especially people like Guan Yu, Sun Jian, and the other cast over there, you can actually influence these conversations by just picking some of the given prompts that are given to you and just overall just listening to these convos going, and then you answer how you like to answer it. So far, with every single person I've spoken to, I have built a nice, good reputation with them just by the way I spoke to them myself. So I really love the fact that they allow you to really hone in and build these relationships with these key characters. But there are also many other different ways to build relationships by completing quests and training with other characters that will strengthen the bonds for them, and you also get skill points out of it. So it's not just you're doing it for nothing, you do something for lore and you're getting rewarded. So hey, in my opinion, it's a win-win in my book. But as you continue to build relationships with some of our favorite characters, we get to use their weapons. Now, there are also 9 distinct weapons that offer unique playstyles. Each weapon feels unique and quite impactful, not just a reskin of the same moveset. What's pretty great about each of the weapons is that they all feel like a class of their own and not just some dumbass asset swap for your protagonist. Like, for example, the Will Blades feel like I'm playing as Sun Xian Xiang. The spear weapons feels like I have the mighty prowess of Guan Yu. Gauntlets give me that tiger overbearing strength, the martial arts, the kung fu of Wang Gai. They really made sure to make each weapon feel like it's definitely an experience, even with the given combos increasing as you get more powerful. And the fact that they even went as deep as they did with these combos feels great. Like I said, this is a nice, good reboot from the entire series, from a staggering roster of 100-ish different characters. They honed in on that and really focused to really bring it back from the beginning. Now, this is not saying they can never go back to 100+ characters, but you can see the vision that they had for Origins. Now, I know we just talked about the character roster, but yes, I already covered this in a couple of my videos in the past, but there is not the full entire roster that you will know and love. I think there's only 9 playable characters out of there, but they're theoretically not playable characters. They are actually support heroes, or as the game calls them, companions. Now, companions can actually join us in battle, provides great support and very unique Muso attacks. So they enter a state of rage called God mode, or the God of War mode, essentially, and you can just click it while hitting the left trigger and the right trigger on your controller or whatever you have on mouse and keyboard, and you basically enter this state of like unlimited stamina. You don't take damage, and not to mention you get to utilize your Muso attack that causes an instant 1000 kills every time you utilize it. So far in my current game time, I was able to unlock Guan Yu, Xiao Hudun, Sun Xianxing, and then Wang Gai as my companions, and then utilizing their Muso attacks and just mowing down different enemies always feels great when you use the companions. They really made them feel overall special, but not theoretically taken away from our main protagonist. So they kind of did a nice balancing act between companions and as well as the main protagonist, because they probably already had an idea that this was overall going to not sit well with a lot of long-time fans. But moving forward with overall our main protagonist, now I want to talk a little bit about his progression and the overall character's growth. Now, the overall character's growth have a couple of things that allows you to level him up. And starting off in between the massive large-scale battles, we can get smaller scaled battles called skirmishes, which provide smaller scale combat encounters. Normally, these are great for completing quests with your officers, leveling up your proficiency in weapons, and helping your overall rank as an officer. So leveling up does grant a lot of access, especially to this vast skill tree, allowing for even more significant character customization across 6 different ranks. Now, this is honestly one massive big ass skill tree, so to really build your protagonist to be the legend that he is, Omega Force really put it all out on the table to make sure your character is suited for any issues, as the skill tree allows you to unlock nice passive buffs, new skill arts, and anything else that will be able to help you out in your journey. Another way to upgrade yourself is the gem system. This actually adds quite depth, allowing you to craft gems that provide special effects on any of your attacks. Now, as these gems are acquired through the use of peroxyrines, I really hope that I pronounced that correctly, but they're theoretically crystals that which you can find these in the overworld, and you can get some by doing particular quests to get rewards as well. These crystals basically allow you to buy the gems, and then you can utilize the gems to further make sure that your character is doing pretty good on their overall attacks. I like using the Wellspring gem, which basically every time I defeat 100 enemies, I get healed. I like the attack buff gem, so you can mix and match and pick to see which ones you actually enjoy or what type of build that you're going for. There's another one that's great for when you launch enemies in the air, you deal extra damage to launched enemies. So stuff like that is pretty great to overall further enhance the abilities that our main protagonist has. Now, lastly, I want to just touch on one last major mechanic of the game for you to look out for, is the Eyes of the Sacred Bird ability, which allows you to survey the battlefield for weaknesses and as well as enemy sorceries. Yes, you heard me right, sorceries. And the Yellow Turbans have plenty of it, and apparently we're the only ones who can see it. Like I said, this is another mechanic that is only personal to our protagonist, which, like I said, I will go into further depth just a little bit, but I do want to talk a little bit about the visuals and audio. So the soundtrack to Dynasty Warriors is what really makes these games so special, and when I tell you, hearing Eve in the tutorial from Dynasty Warriors 4 just made me so happy. Like, I could not stop bobbing my head. The soundtrack is absolutely fire. The fact that we were able to get most of the songs from every previous Dynasty Warriors games all the way up to 9, and I believe all the way down to Dynasty Warriors 2. So overall, like, we were able to get majority of the hot songs from each of those titles, and just being able to hear it throughout my entire time playing really makes it just really, it hones in on it for me. It makes it a great game. The voice acting is also pretty good. Now, I would say I did have a little bit of cons about the voice acting. And it's not about the voice actors, it's just the game was having a syncing issue. The lips weren't syncing as they were talking. It felt like a weird dubbed was going on. I think it fixed itself later as I progressed further in the game, but it is definitely something I did notice. Nothing groundbreaking in my opinion. It is very minor, so to speak, but each character really have some personality to them, and I love what the English voice actors did to really bring our characters to life for this reboot. I do love when meeting new characters. I love how they give them a bit of a shine, like the badasses they are, really giving me that Yakuza vibes when I used to play Yakuza when I was younger, and when you meet a new character and they have this grand like introduction to them to like really showcase like, hey, they're not to be fucked with. But moving on to the overall visuals, I must say that this is the most beautiful Dynasty Warriors game we have ever received in a long time. The way the graphics really carry forth to give us a great experience while feeling like an absolute unit on the field. The overview of the map is also pretty crazy as well. So when you're in between battles, you are actually traveling a world map, and the world map, the colors just really pop out, but it makes it feel like you're traveling the provinces with your character, and which traveling through the map is just very relaxing and just beautiful. It makes it feel like the world is alive, hearing the different conversations while you're traveling, and as well as you do good deeds throughout the world. You can see the world is always everly changing as people begin to talk about the events that took place and generals banding together. Now, of course, this is where we get to a little bit of the hard part about this review. We got to talk about the story, right? So, like I said, spoilerless. It's not nothing crazy spoilers. I'm only so few in, so I'm gonna just kind of give you a quick synopsis. But I really say they really did great with how they reintroduced this story. It, of course, is always going to start with the Yellow Turban Rebellion, setting the stage for the Three Kingdoms era. The story starts us off with our nameless protagonist as we team up with Guan Yu and Zhang Jiao to really help defeat the government, who is basically allowing citizens to die without any form of help. After the defeat of the government captain, we find out our character is meant to save the world and bring peace back to the land, as he begins having visions of someone who knows him greatly. This becomes the norm of us saving the day for the different factions tackling the Turbans. This prologue overall sets us up for how the Turbans began to rebel against the Han Dynasty, but for a moment it was a brief team up though, as the Yellow Turbans has turned against the Han Dynasty entirely and has now overall started causing chaos throughout the land, pillaging villages, and just outright they lost their way. And they tell a very beautiful story with the overall chapter 1 of us understanding the Turbans and why they did what they did. But this does bring an interesting point as well into the story, as in the very first part of the prologue, in the tutorial, the Yellow Turbans basically saved us, and we were able to take down the government with Zhang Fei, Liu Bei, and Guan Yu. But at this point in the story, I am starting to understand why Omega Force went with a protagonist and this whole side story. And I will say this though, it may not make sense. Like I said, I'm trying to make it as spoilerless as possible, so don't antagonize me in the comment section. But our character is the Guardians of Peace. Now, this is nothing really super forced of anything of that nature. It's not a, oh no, you two, I've told the entire game, because I haven't even finished the whole game. It is a thing of who we are as a character, and what's hilarious, our actual character don't even know what the fuck that means of a Guardian of Peace. And we also meet two warriors who look just like us. Now, you can see what they look like on the official Koei Tecmo for Dynasty Warriors Origins website, but our role overall is to eliminate anyone who brings chaos to the world, which adds way more mystique to our protagonist. Once again, this may be heavy theorizing on my behalf, but I would love to see the player choices impact faction alignments and potentially influence future DLC content. Hopefully, if we get some DLC, since the game will end at the Battle of Chibi, right before the actual Three Kingdoms is actually formed. Especially how the protagonist's past is always shrouded in mystery, with encounters with other individuals who share his appearance and even guiding him along his journey. So the game features stunning visuals, a fantastic soundtrack, immersive world building, making the journey through the Three Kingdoms period truly captivating in my opinion. This is a great start to bring the franchise back into new players' hands and bring back some of the veterans to the series. During my time playing, I did not experience any glitches, bugs, or anything of that nature. Just with my overall copy alone, this is the most complete game I've played without much of an issue. I'm still currently beating the game as we speak. I think I'm a couple hours in. I think I'm around 8 or so hours into the game, and I'm enjoying the hell out of my time. I really can't wait to see how this game truly ends. I highly recommend grabbing yourself a copy of this game when it launches, because Omega Force really knocked it out the park with Origins. It was definitely hard for me to put the game down to even write this script so I can even do this review for you guys. But let me know in the comment section below. I also want to thank Koei Tecmo for gifting me a copy of Dynasty Warriors Origins early to cover it for my community. And no, before anyone asks, like I said earlier in the video, they did not pay me or tell me to say anything for the game. These are my own feelings and excitement, and I just overall had a blast playing this game. I can't wait to beat it. But with that being said, stay safe, Chaos fam. Sub to the channel for more reviews and guides, and as always, this has been your host, KSD TV, signing out. Peace.